Here's a story from Grandpa for my three favorite little girls, Emma, Ayla, and Audrey. Did you ever have a relationship with a wild animal? I've known quite a few wild animals over the years, from feral cats to squirrels to ducks to tortoises to even an injured wasp that I took care of when I was about 8 years old. It's always a bit confusing because a wild animal can never really become a pet or become close to you in a friendship sense. Wild animals are wild, and they always will go their own way, no matter how much you would like them to become a pet. The little boy in this story learns this lesson, kind of, when he tries to turn a moose into a pet. So here's the story. This Moose Belongs to Me. Written and illustrated by Oliver Jeffers. Wilfred owned a moose. He hadn't always owned a moose. The moose came to him a while ago, and he just knew, that it was meant to be his. He thought he would call him Marcel. See, he's putting a little tag on his antlers that says Marcel. He began following Marcel, explaining the rules of how to be a good pet. Much of the time it seemed as though the moose wasn't listening, but Wilfred knew he was, mostly because he followed Rule 4 very well, not making too much noise while Wilfred plays his record collection. Sometimes the moose wasn't a very good pet. He generally ignored rule number 7, going whichever way Wilfred wants to go. The moose had a very good sense of direction, and Wilfred did not, and because the moose was particularly poor on Rule 7, subsection B, maintaining a certain proximity to home, Wilfred quickly learned to bring some string along on their outings so he could find his way back again. Sometimes the moose was an excellent pet. He had no trouble with Rule 11, providing shelter from the rain, or Rule 16, knocking down things that are out of Wilfred's reach. Good work. One day, as Wilfred discussed their plans for the coming year on a particularly long walk, he made a terrible discovery. Someone else thought she owned the moose. "Rodrigo, you're back!" Wilfred was dumbstruck. This moose was Marcel, not Rodrigo. The old lady was mistaken, and Wilfred thought it only proper that he correct her. "This moose belongs to me," he explained. And to prove it, he called Marcel. "Heel!" But the moose did not respond. He seemed more interested in the old lady, probably because she was giving him an apple. "Good, Rodrigo." Embarrassed and enraged, Wilfred rushed off for home. But in his haste and miles from anywhere, he tripped over his string and got tangled up. And there he lay. Wilfred was beginning to get a little bit worried. It was getting late and the monsters would be out soon. He had just ruled out the last of his options when along came the moose and performed Rule 73 brilliantly, rescuing your owner from perilous situations. All was forgiven, and perhaps, Wilfred admitted, he'd never really owned the moose anyway. With that in mind, he and the moose reached a compromise. The moose would agree to all of Wilfred's rules whenever it suited him. "Dominic, you're back, and you brought me an apple." And that's the end of the story. So you've heard me talk about my two greyhounds, Dickens and Dory. The three of us are really good friends, and we will be so for the rest of our lives. You've also heard me talk about the two wild mallard ducks, who I call Ping and Pong, who come out to see me every morning when I put my boat into the water. I've given Ping and Pong names, and I give them a little food now and then, and I'm always happy when they come out to see me. But I also know that one day they will move on and probably not think of me again, because that's how ducks are. But I know that I will continue to think of them often because that's how I am. Always remember that Grandpa loves you, and I'm thinking of you often, and I hope to see you soon. Bye-bye.